Hey everyone, it's Sally with the Polka Dot Life. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to remind you that bonus days are still going on until August the 3rd. That is the last date to order to get those rewards. With every $50 before tax and shipping that you spend with me, you will get $5 in a certificate that will be emailed to you that you can spend with me in August. So those are for every $50 increment in product value. And I also wanted to remind you that our new holiday mini catalog launches August the 4th. And if you would like to have one mailed to you, hop over to thepolkadotlife.com and fill out a catalog request form, and I will get one out to you. Today we are going to be spotlighting a watercoloring technique, and we are going to be using the Summer Days stamp set. And for the card we're making today, we are going to be using the Stitch So Sweetly dies. I wanted to show you this Summer Days set, and it is what we consider a host set, but I don't want that to scare you. You can easily order that. Any order $150 or more, contact me first, and we will generate a special host code for you so that you get the benefits of your order. You'll get Stampin' rewards on that order, and you can use some of those Stampin' rewards to purchase this set. And being a host is the only way you can get this set, but it lends itself to coloring, and I find that super relaxing, and so I wanted to show you that today. This is the card we're going to be making today. I did not put any sentiments on it. I'm just going to right now leave it as a note card. You could certainly add a little greeting, like from the Itty Bitty Greeting set would be great, or you have room for a nice circle shape that you could add in there with a greeting on it. But I just wanted to show you this really simple watercoloring technique. It just makes for a really nice card, and it does just make you think about a summer day. And on the inside, I added a layer of our Pacific Point just to make it stand out over that thick Whisper White cardstock. Let's talk a minute about our cardstock. We need to have a piece of smoky slate, 2 pieces of Pacific Point or your color of choice that's going to match what colors you want to use with your watercolor pencils. And then we have 2 different pieces of Whisper White thick. We have a regular piece here that we're going to do our stamping on, and then this is our Whisper White thick cardstock. It's very important to use the Whisper White thick when you are watercoloring if you're going to be using this technique. Especially if you're only using a little bit of something that's going to dampen that paper. You would not want to be very aggressive with whatever technique you use on the Whisper White thick, because eventually it will pill up. You have the options of Whisper White, the Shimmer Whisper White, or our regular watercolor paper. Especially the watercolor paper, if you're going to be laying any amount of liquid down, that would be your best option. Your shimmer would also work for the technique we're using today, and for if you're using just a little bit of liquid from your aqua painter. We are going to be using our StazOn ink. That is very important if you are doing watercoloring. With the method we're using today, or if you are going to be using one of our aqua painters with water, you would need to use this as well. This is a solvent-based ink, so you always want to do the opposite of the technique you're going to be doing. So you always just need to remember StazOn ink for watercoloring, and if you're going to be coloring with your blends, you want to use your Memento ink or your regular our colors in our ink line. Okay, we have our StazOn ink opened, And I have mounted up 2 stamps from our Summer Days stamp set. The one with the little boy with the kite, and then I just kind of lined up the grass area and put the dog on there. And we're just going to ink those up. It is one you kind of have to do a little bit of a few more taps on it, and you might just want to flip it over and look at it. I wouldn't twist this one, but you just need to make sure it's covered. And then you just want to make sure you hold this on your paper, that you don't twist it or rock it, and then you just pick up. And it makes for a really pretty image. Then we also have mounted up our clouds, and we're just going to put those here above the dog beside the kite. Perfect. Okay. We're going to move our ink out of the way so that we don't have any unfortunate accidents. After you stamp your image, you want to let it sit for a while. You want this to be very, very 100% dry. If you're running really low on time, you could use your heat tool to make sure that it was dry. But we're going to come in now that mine is dry, and we're going to bring in this die from the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And I'm just going to kind of take this and line it up where it's straight, where I want it to be with our grass line. And then I will take that and die cut that out. But I actually do have one, for the sake of time and camera jiggling, that I went ahead and cut ahead of time. We are going to be using our watercolor pencils. We have 2 different packages of them, and the colors don't repeat, so you would probably want to get both of them. There's still not a vast array of them, but I still think that you can do quite a few things with them. We need that one as well. So I am going to start with my Daffodil Delight on the kite. And if you're going to be going along an outline, you would probably want to use the point of your pencil just to make it be a little bolder for an outline. And then if you're going to want to color in, if you want it to be lighter, you just kind of want to use the side of your pencil and kind of even in a little bit more of a circular manner as much as you can, and staying in the lines. And I'm going to have to do this awkwardly so that I can see it while we're on camera. Just such a happy yellow. I love Daffodil Delight. And then we're going to, you don't have to put a whole lot in. We're going to put our tails on our kite. And then I am going to take the cherry cobbler to do his cap. Now you could, if you could figure out the right blend to get for skin tones and so on, for whatever color you needed, and for hair, you could absolutely do that. I'm kind of going with a little bit more of a rough coloring in. I'm not doing every little detail. I'm going to take our pumpkin pie, and I'm just going to make some stripes. And then his one on the arm would go this way. And let's just put one there. Our shorts, I used the Pacific Point actually for that. And those we're going to be coloring in solid. And this one's pretty much going to be bright no matter how you do it. I love it. It's just, like I say, brights are some of my very favorite colors. So there we go for that. And you could make the dog whatever color that you wanted it to be. I'm going to just lightly use the basic gray to give it a rough color. You could certainly customize this to a dog in your family or someone that you love. And what dog would not be happier than to be out in a grassy field with their child, their favorite child? I'm going to take this Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to do a little harder of a press, and I'm going to do here where these shade lines are that are already provided by the artist. I might even add just a few more. And then I am just going to lightly take this and just kind of finish a little bit of grass, and you could make it a little bit crooked. You know, grass is never usually perfectly flat. Even in the suburbs, we still have our little divots and sinkholes or whatnot. There. And then on my card, I just really loosely, I'm going to turn this a little bit. I kind of worked around the clouds first, and I went very lightly. And this is with the balmy blue. And mine, you can even see my pencil strokes a little bit more. I kind of added those for a little definition, but if you didn't want that, you certainly wouldn't have to. And I'm even going to bring that over here and down around my kite a little bit. And this is just something that's up to you. You can bring this sky down as far as you would like. You know, if you leave a little white space, that's fine. Sometimes white space gets a bad rap, and sometimes it really adds a nice piece of interest to your pieces of art or your cards, whatever you have that you're working with. And I'm just going to take this above a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of fade this to where it's not quite so much. And down here, we're going to do the same. I like that. Super fun. Now I am going to bring in a blender pen, and I think it's important that you always start with your lightest color. It's just a thing I have. That way, if you had any color transfer, it wouldn't be so bad, but you might want to just take your pencil and rub it, and just try to remember to be nice to the nib on your blender pen. So I'm actually going to start with this green, since I went easier on it than the yellow. And you just want to, like I say, you can swirl it a little bit, but just kind of want to skate across. That way you're not tearing up your paper. And then let's go to our dog. And you could do more shading on the dog if you wanted to. like I said, with these pencils, we don't have a lot of different shades. So you just kind of I just kind of vary the pressure that I put on it. And I guess, let's see, let's do the yellow next. And that just makes it so happy. And now you could just leave it the way it was. You wouldn't have to use a blender pen if you just like the very muted colors of the pencils. You could certainly leave it that way as well. You have a lot of options. And let's do his hat. But this softens it. Now see this, I've got a lot of color coming off that, so that's why I said I probably should have done a different color before the red. But as long as you're making sure that you clean your blender pen between colors, you'll be fine. Now this one, I'm not going to swirl them because I want it to stay a stripe. So I'm just going to touch this enough that it gets it wet, but I'm not going to oversaturate it or swirl it around. And then for his little shorts, his little outfit, I guess I colored it thinking about the little health techs outfits I used to dress my son in. It just kind of reminded me that. And he's a redhead, so he always has to have a ball hat on because otherwise we get a sunburn. And now he's an adult and he still always wears a ball cap. So now it's time to do our sky. And we're just going to, like I say, just kind of make this skate across there. You don't want to get into your clouds because this, could move some of that blue ink into there. We want our clouds to stay nice and white. But as far as the rest of this, if it gets a little muddled together, and if there's a place that's kind of dark like that, you can try to go over it, but you probably just are going to have to kind of live with it. And like I say, sometimes a little white space is just a fine thing. And there, that's just our little amount of coloring. And we're going to clean this so we don't put it away dirty. And there it is. It's just a happy little card. We're going to bring in our piece of smoky slate. And now I want to tell you all these measurements will be over on my blog, so you don't have to worry about writing anything down. And this is just enough to peek a little bit of that, to give it some definition behind there. As you can see, this is a second time around for this piece of paper. Remember, there are always two sides. This one just kind of, it must have rocked, and that's the effect you'll get if your stamp rocks. But I just flipped it over and we did it again, and so we're not wasting anything. And so we're going to put some of our Tombow liquid glue around here. And we're just going to glue this down. And just going to make sure that we're even and straight. So our card is already taking shape. We're going to just take that and we're going to layer this piece up onto our piece of Pacific Point. I just chose that one because I don't use it very often. It's a strong color, and so I don't always get to use it. So I like that one. But you could, whatever color clothing you choose for your little boy, you could absolutely change the color of this layer to be whatever you want. Or the kite, or what have you. There we go. I'm sorry, I'm old. I need to pick this up and kind of look at it from a distance to make sure that it is straight. And now we are going to bring in our piece of Whisper White Thick for our card base. And now you can either layer, you can pop up with dimensionals. Let's just go ahead and do that with this one. If I can find where I've buried them. You want to remember to come in enough so that you don't just see everything but dimensional when you look at your card, but you have to keep them close enough to the end so that they don't bend. Because most of the time I feel like our cards are going through the mail, and it's not there. Like, there are unkind people at the post office. It's just most of it these days is automated, and so, you know, they just have to take a little bit of abuse. And you know what? I am going to go ahead and just stick another one right down there. And I'm going to bring in my Take Your Pick tool. And pop these backings off. You can just put them right in the trash bin, and then you don't find them everywhere when you go to do laundry, or when you find them. I've had them attached to the cats that they've found them and taken off with them. Make sure that it's sticky, that I pick that up. And then, like I say, I like to put a little bit of glue because I feel more confident that I can get it straight. I don't want to go through making a card and then mess it up on the last step. That would infuriate me a little bit. So we're going to take this . And that is exactly why, because these things are very, very sticky. So very, very, very sweet. And then on my card that I did earlier, I will show you the inside. I just took another layer, like I say, of that Pacific Point, and then a smaller layer of the regular Whisper White, and I just stamped that just at the last minute. You could leave it black, you could leave it blank. You could, if you had excess of the thick, you could certainly put it in there. But I just thought that that was a really, really sweet little card for a summertime, just a little hello. Maybe you have been away from your grandchild, or just a special little friend that you enjoy seeing because of this whole coronavirus. And it would just, every child loves to get mail. And even how old you are, I don't think it matters. I think we all enjoy getting some happy mail, real mail, not bills, not junk. I wanted to show you this other card I did using this same technique. I just used our Sahara Sand card base. I used the textured, the tasteful, this is hard to say, tasteful textiles I used for this layer. I used this double with the row of trees on this one. I just thought it looked so peaceful that I made it a get well soon card. And I just put some of the old olive ribbon and some cardstock on there. I thought that was really pretty too. Then I just wanted to try something else. Now, keep in mind that if you're going to do this at home, you need to switch inks. This, I used our Stampin Blends, and those are our alcohol-based markers. Very different animal, and they color so nicely. You can go from a very fine tip You can use the edge to make it broader, but there's a wide variety of colors. We don't have them in all of the colors, but we do have them in most of the colors, I would say. And so you just have more selection when it comes to coloring your card. And I put some faceted gems on there, and I will put all of the supplies in the blog post that goes with this card, so you'll just be able to go over and say, oh, what were those gems that she used? And so you can find them there. But this one is just the sweet one of a little girl reading her book and the butterflies just fluttering about on a sweet day. And this is on our Granny Apple Green. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you find some time to make cards, and I hope that you find some time to go outside and enjoy these beautiful summer days. Remember to be kind, send a card, and do something creative. Bye-bye.